Welcome to Just Ranked, where four men reignite the fires of youth with music. This is a fun little podcast we have where we take our top four favorites, best, whatever you want to say, picks of whatever the topic is. Just check out justrankedpod.com. You can get all the links to all of our socials. Please like and subscribe. This is how we grow. This is how we get better. And we, if you tell your friends, you can click the bell to get notifications when the new show pops up. I'm Jimmy. That's Chris. That's Dink. That's Joe. This week's topic is artists that left their bands to go solo. So artists that went solo. And I believe, Dink, you're going to start this one, right?
Am I first?
You're first. And
well, oh shit! I better put my glasses on then. Damn, what damn? I don't know why I was thinking I was last. I'm not hosting.
You think after 15 shows we'd have this down?
Yeah, we couldn't get our shit together. We tried. I'm like, holy shit, he's coming to me. All right. So yeah,
and cut.
And cut. I don't know if you stated it, but we are doing albums, right? We're doing albums. Albums from that solo artist. Well, loosely albums.
This is my show script for this episode.
Or loosely albums or the artists themselves. I'm going to focus a little bit on albums, but you guys can do you. I'll start with my number 4. It's a little outside of our normal styles of music, perhaps. It's a New Jack Swing. It is, if you're familiar with that genre, it is Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel.
Wow.
I like this album a lot. This is...
I did too.
Grade 9 and 10 for me with, My Prerogative, Every Little Step, the title track. I just think it's a great album, a great solo endeavor after New Edition. There's not really much I can say. For me, it's really memory based. I still go back to it when I'm listening to this style of music because I like that early Bobby stuff, and he completely got off the rails while he was on the rails. But you know what I mean? But
rails.
Not at all.
You don't want to see him dance now because he's a larger fella. But that's it. That's my number 4.
It's a good album, man. Especially when it came out, man. It's absolutely huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it was big. Like, really, I think largely based on My Prerogative, but Every Little Step, the video had a lot of play.
Yeah.
Like Rock With You. Like there's some good tracks on that. And I don't
Ronnie,
know.
that's on
Ronnie, right? Ronnie, yeah. For me, it just kind of hit, right? I don't know what it was. And of course, I could have other things, and we'll get to other things, but it kind of bumped some ones you would probably think would have been more in my wheelhouse. It bumped them out. So yeah, that's number 4.
Music is an emotional thing, so that's why sometimes say it's out of my wheelhouse or you wouldn't expect it from me. It's and that's why we talked about before. I never say someone's music sucks. It's not for me. It's a very music. I think is a very emotional art form.
It really is.
Yeah,
right.
It really is.
And I always say memory based, but those memories are also based on emotion, right? Like
memories are emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Darren, you run our Just Ranked Facebook page. Everyone, please go check it out. There's so much information. It's like every 2 or 3 hours, there's something musically entertainment related. But you posted about music makes everyone become a time traveler. And as soon as you said that pick, in my mind, I heard Every Little Step I Take. And I really, really, actually, I owned that CD when it came out. It's off my beaten path.
I was going to say, but I still love it. Way off your beaten.
Yeah. I actually love that pick.
And were your metal buddies like, what's with that one? What's with that CD?
No,
Jimmy?
No. I mean, I had some through and through metal fans, jackets, right?
Your creds.
Right? But no, I think the awesome group of friends I had in high school, they weren't like super eclectic, but they they liked stuff off the beaten path too.
Yeah, so
But
they understood, right? That there's always something that's going to be
absolutely,
like, I'm not staying in tunnel like some in our silos.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, shit, this is good too, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So my number 3, I have a feeling this might come up again, but it is Peter Gabriel's "So."
Fucking
What's up?
great album.
Yeah, it's a great album, right? Like,
Yeah, let me write that down. What is it?
yeah. You better write that one down, or just put a check mark beside it on your own list. I just think front to back, it's a great album. A great album for him, obviously, having been in Genesis. For any listener that doesn't know that, but the videos, and I think we talked about it in another episode. His videos, right, for Big Time and Sledgehammer, and then his
Groundbreaking.
groundbreaking, right?
They were.
And his play he got from other avenues, like In Your Eyes is on this, and that was huge, right? From a movie,
Oh
right?
God, everywhere.
With a ghetto blaster,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Everywhere. And then, transcends like generations of people our age later having it as their wedding song and all this shit, you know what I mean? Like, just a classic song. Some people, it's their favorite song. In Your Eyes is their favorite song of all time. Yeah, he's just amazing, right? He's such an artist.
He's an artist too. But I gotta be honest. I'm not a huge fan of Peter Gabriel Genesis. I'm not. I've really tried. There's a couple songs here and there I really like, but as a whole, I'm like, it sounds like a band really trying hard to be David Bowie to me.
Different. Yeah.
I'm kind of with you a little bit that I think they got much better and not because of him leaving, but after he was gone.
I think, and that's where I was going. I think they got better when he left. And I think he got better when he left.
Yes.
I mean, going back to Shock and Monkey and that album, and So came out of nowhere because he took forever.
Yeah, I think you said that in one of the episodes.
It's kind of notoriously known to take forever to record an album, like years, like 5-6 years to record an album. Like with So, it famously, I mean, this album might come up my list. Who knows? Famously, the record company told him this record needs to be done and mixed because it was 5 years he was working on this specific album. And they're like, if it's not done by the end of next month, whatever you have done is the album. So, I mean, he takes his time. He works with the best musicians a person could work with. I would really compare him to Steely Dan when it comes to trying to find the perfect sound.
Right.
That's what they've tried to do. That's what he tries to do. And the perfect sound doesn't necessarily mean something coming out of his head. He has an idea and he's relying on the studio musician to kind of convey that language onto audio form.
Well, for me, that album actually introduced me to world music, the category of world music.
Him and Sting.
Yeah, well, actually, I would say Peter Gabriel more than Sting. Okay. Especially this album because Manu Katachi, I've talked about him before, the drummer,
phenomenal
and fantastic world musician, polyrhythms and taking concepts from different continents and applying it to a modern sound. And to me, that was mind-blowing, mind-breaking, because it actually broke me, and I had to figure out how to listen to this to where I can enjoy it without breaking it down, which was, for me, impossible because we've talked about that ad nauseum. As my version of being a musician, I have to break things down. I have to isolate parts of the song. And it was so hard to do that with this because it was so flowing and so moving. And I loved the artistic nature of this album because it was extremely artistic.
Very artistic. It's funny, like we talk about, or I talk about it a lot, memories. When I think back to when those videos were out and my other friends that were talking about Peter Gabriel, when I'm thinking about it now, looking back and thinking about us that are huge music fans, and you guys are musicians, but we all had older siblings, right? Like Jimmy, your brother's older.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
right. So we had
5
older
years.
siblings, and I'm sure we all, I know I did, had friends with older siblings. I remember having other friends. So we had influences, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
And it wasn't just our parents,
No.
but there was ones in the house, and then there's ones outside of the house. I had other friends that didn't have that thought like that's cool. They still liked music, what was on the radio, what was up on TV, with videos. But I remember friends that didn't know Peter Gabriel was in Genesis.
Oh, a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I remember telling a couple of friends, well, he's from Genesis, right? Genesis with Phil Collins. I'm like, yeah, same band. There's not two Genesis.
Genesis.
But yeah, like just little things like that, like that just now popped into my head, like, oh yeah. Things you remember from because those videos were so everybody was talking about them, right? In the video age, he was taking it to such another level. Like, have you seen his videos? They're fucking incredible.
That's how
so many of them were like just the band playing, right? There's the band, that's their video because they didn't want to do them or they didn't have a creative video designer. Well, just film you, like just play a show or we'll film you.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a huge Peter Gabriel fan, but how I was introduced to him was Shock the Monkey video.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
That was how I didn't know he was in Genesis until after that.
Yeah, no, it happens. I no judgments, right? Like, I guess I was at the time maybe judging.
If you're judging,
I
fuck you.
I knew it. I was like, you didn't know that? Oh my god! Right? Like, I'm sure there was shit ton of stuff I didn't know, but you pull out any nugget you can back then, right? Like, oh yeah, you didn't know that?
I know more than you do.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I remember being at places and you going, "Hey, who knows who sang this song?" And like, "Who knows that?" And like, "I bet you Chris does." And then you'd fucking ask him. Like,
oh, I've been playing trivia for years.
That's Small Time Boy by Bronski Beat. You fucking
yeah. That's why I love doing trivia and trivia nights because I was constantly doing it, sitting on the couch drinking. Like, who sings that? I still do it. Jimmy, I remember you said it. You cover up the dashboard to your wife. I do it with my wife, right? I just like don't look at the thing or hope it doesn't.
If my wife knows something I don't know, she'll post it on Facebook. Write the time and date down. I fucking knew this. Kristen
didn't know,
right?
Too funny.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move along to my number 2, and my number 2 is I fucking love this album. He's no longer with us, but number 2 is Faith from George Michael. Again, a little bit outside of my wheelhouse as much as I love pop. In 87, when this came out, I was still heavily entrenched, even though I was just getting into high school, heavily entrenched in metal and trying to, even though I liked some pop, trying to get away from the metal, I think, and to be with everybody else because it was only a few of us who were still we're rocking out and everybody else was listening to mainstream stuff. And I knew it all, but I always swayed back to metal. So this album was huge for me, and Father Figure, the track is, I fucking love it. It's when I ever get to doing that list beyond 20, my favorites of all time, Father Figure will be on that list before I hit 50. It's in the next 30. I love that song. It's one of my wife's favorite songs. And of course, Faith got a little bit overkill, and then when Biscuit did it, I was like a little bit overkill on that one even too, right?
I love Biscuit's version.
I prefer Biscuit's version too, actually. But I want you sax.
Were you there? We saw them do that live. Were you there with Ian and I?
Yeah. I want your sax, Monkey, Kissing a Fool, One More Try. So many good tracks on that album, right? So many, and such a high school time. Like I said, grade 9 into grade 10 with those songs for 73s anyway.
Well, when we talk, in between shows, and actually during some of these shows, we talk about music that we missed or skipped when we were younger. George Michael is one of those artists because, well, it was kind of frowned upon, whatnot, looked down
that's
upon.
That's what I was getting at, but yeah, for sure.
And I kind of made fun of it and made fun of Wham and whatnot.
Made fun of Wham,
but,
yeah.
As an older guy now, and I'd probably say in the last 10, 12 years, I've gone back and listened to that Faith album, and it's a fucking beautiful album. You can totally tell that it was a labor of love, and every little section of every little thing was done with true intent. There's not any gray spaces. It's black or white. This is what it is. This is the song. And that father figure song, it's a fucking great song. I've gone back. I've watched like 5 or 6 documentaries about Wham, about George Michael.
Totally.
And I mean, tortured soul, a very tortured soul.
Very tortured.
And, right? God bless Andrew Ridgeley. That guy, when George Michael came to him and said, I want to go solo, Andrew Ridgeley is like, yes, I have your back. You are the talent.
I'll totally support you. Where most guys be like, you're fucking leaving me? He was all in.
No, and he supported him. He lifted him and did everything he could and was one of his best friends to his last breath. And, bless him for that, because you don't hear a lot about that in musically. Musically, you don't hear about
that. I'm sure you guys have seen it personally, right? Like, fuck you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That guy left the band. Fuck him.
Yeah. Oh, he was a champion of him. He really was. And some of the artists of the late, around 2016 and later, so many artists have just passed out of the blue. And he passed away at 53 of. I'm just trying to figure out how you pass away at 53 of natural causes, but I mean. Not that everyone's beholden to tell us why they passed away, but it was a great loss because he was such a pop icon and he wasn't done. I don't think he was done. He had such a unique.
He was also kind of a.
Go ahead.
He was also kind of a fashion icon. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No, he was
kind of a fashion icon. He did a lot for music, and a lot of people shit on him. I feel bad to this day that I kind of shit on him, and
I was going to say that I shit on him for years, and it wasn't until like closer to his death that I started to appreciate like the stuff that he did, even with Wham. Right? I was late. I was definitely late to the party with that. I was one of those guys that would shit on him.
I would have the same feelings, but I got so enthralled by this album that I don't feel that anymore. I felt it when I was listening to this. Holy fuck. I was making fun of my sister for listening to Wham, other guy friends that were any hint of it, like, really, you know what I mean? But now I'm over that, like, because I loved him. And I talked about Lane and Michael Hutchinson's death that kind of hit me. His death hit my wife. Because he died on Christmas Day, right? Or Boxing Day. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. It was
he died on Christmas Day.
And my wife was like, "Oh,
it was 2016. 2016 was David Bowie, Prince, and him." Then he's like, "Boom, boom, boom." He's like,
right. Wow. And I remember my wife saying, "Wow, like I know it's Christmas, but this one's really hitting me." And we listened to him, and it was good twofold. Not that he died, obviously, but to listen to his music and to not hear any more fucking Christmas music. Let's listen to George Michael. I'm like, let's listen to George Michael and get this Christmas music off.
I mean, it's weird. It's like when you're talking about memories and just sonic feelings about us when you hear a song or an album. I remember back in the day, I used to I used to babysit my. I don't drink beer that often. I used to babysit my sister's oldest child because they only had the one kid at the time. And my sister had all this music, and that's where I got actually introduced to like Dire Straits and George Michael. And I would listen to this entire album. This entire album has an entire feel to it that is sonically specific to that album. You can breathe now.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. Look, I was over what you said. I was done laughing, and then Chris is up there dying, and I was
I'm laughing at you. I guess I'm laughing at you.
Yeah. Sometimes you just slip with what you meant to say, but yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it, Joe.
But that album is a very, very specifically a sonic sound, and every song has that specific sound. It's amazing. That album is an all-time album.
Agreed. Okay, so with that, because my eyes are watering from laughing, I will move on to number one. And number one was a cinch. Number one, when we weren't sure we were doing just their collections, just the artists, just songs, just albums. Some of these categories, I think I mentioned in one of our previous episodes, we run into these problems where we're all on board with the topic, but we're all on a different page with what the specifics of the topic. this was number one in all of them. So this is Blizzard of Oz from Ozzy. This is my wheelhouse. This is massive memory for me that I mentioned in the Police episode. Police and Dexy's Midnight Runners were the first two vinyl I bought. And they were the only two vinyl I ever bought, because the next purchase I made with my own money, allowance, right, from chopping wood or cleaning the bathroom or whatever, was Blizzard of Oz and Mental Health. So I fucking love Blizzard of Oz. It's still my favorite Ozzy album, even though I played it to death back then, but I might have listened to some of the other ones like Ultimate Sin and No More Tears, maybe just as much or more since. Sure. Probably because I left Blizzard of Oz, because I borderline killed it for myself. But I will return. Right, and I know, Jim, you're not gonna like this comment. It's much like Appetite for Destruction for me. I will return. There's you guys aren't Guns N' Roses fans, but there's certain albums that stick with you. I like Guns N' Roses, and if you play them to death and then you take a break, for me, I go back. I make I should listen to that band, or I should listen to Ozzy. Well, you know what you should listen to. My brain says, go listen to Blizzard of Oz. There's no point in me naming all the tracks. We all know the tracks on it. It's Randy, right? It's just so much.
Yeah, I love Randy Rhoads.
It's just so good because of Randy.
Yeah.
I will say this: there's one thing. Guitarists are a very fickle bunch, and they all think they know everything. But there's two. I will say there's 3 guitarists. Only 3 guitarists. Every guitarist will say those are the guitarists. It's Jimi Hendrix, it's Eddie Van Halen, and it's Randy Rhoads.
Randy Rhoads, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this, but Blizzard of Oz, the band didn't know this, but they're all hired on the assumption that Ozzy was starting a new band called Blizzard of Oz.
Blizzard of Oz.
And it wasn't until the album was printed where they got the album, they go, oh, the album title is Blizzard of Oz. And you got the old Sharon Osbourne effect going, hey, sorry.
Oh, so it's just Ozzy. It's just an Ozzy album.
Yeah.
So we're in the band, but it's just an Ozzy album. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we all introduced to Randy Rhoads, and that guy was he was so different than Eddie Van Halen, completely different than Eddie Van Halen. But he was such himself. And like I said, you had those 3 guitars that every guitarist will agree. Those 3 guitars. Every other guitarist is it's a feeling thing, but those 3 guitars are the ones that everyone picks, is because they are so uniquely original. And the one thing that was cool about Randy Rhoads, whenever they were on tour, he would find like a local guitar aficionado and take lessons from that guitar aficionado. From
everyone.
He never thought he was the great guitarist everyone thought and made him out to be. He was like, oh, there's a billion people better than me. I'm just doing what I'm doing because I love what I do, and I can always learn from somebody else.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, he's so humble, but
unbelievable.
Yeah, he was very humble. Yeah,
absolutely, and super shy too. Mm-hmm. His playing style was completely unique. He was not the founder or the forefather of neoclassical guitar, but he's the one that brought it to the spot.
The masses, yeah.
When you think of neoclassical, you think, Yngwie Malmsteen and whatnot, where they actually takes classical music and applies it to metal. So again, he was groundbreaking in the mainstream capacity, but he wasn't like the inventor or the founder of it. But I absolutely love his playing, and in fact, I can isolate everything out of that whole album just to listen to his guitar playing, and I love it that much.
Me too.
Excuse me.
And it's funny, with that, it's funny exactly that you said that about Crazy Train. I can isolate and listen to his guitar, and that's the only time I really ever want to listen to that song now, because with the overkill of this album, that song is definitely on the overkill list for me. I don't really want to hear Crazy Train anymore. In fact, when I do go back to listen to it, I might skip Crazy Train if I don't just listen to it for the guitar. Like, I want to hear Mr. Crowley and No Movies. Yeah,
I've come back to Crazy Train. I love it again. I fucking listen.
Do you? Okay, so yeah, maybe I should give it another whirl. Like I'll give the beginning of a whirl.
We were talking about this before. I think how you can some songs you come back, your brain comes back to, and some it just doesn't.
I mean, if we ever do a show where we do like all-time guitar riffs, man, there's no way that song's not on that list, man. That song is
it's.
And the other thing is, I say the same thing.
Writing it down.
Yeah. Because Jimmy's never heard it before. But again, like with Hendrix and with EVH, all three of those guitars play their style completely effortless. It sounds completely effortless. It doesn't sound like they're trying at all.
Right. Oh, and even if you watch old videos of him, like in the Ozzy videos or whatever, like, he just doesn't look like he's even trying then, right? Like sounds effortless, looks effortless.
Yep. Yeah. Good pick, man. That's a great pick.
Anyway, so I'll do my honorable mention. My honorable mention is a twofer, but same artist. So we are covering artists. I'm gonna throw both the first solo Lionel Richie albums as my honorable mention. I was gonna do Just Can't Slow Down, but I love the first one too. I love You Are. It's my favorite Lionel Richie song, but My Love's on that album as well. But the Can't Slow Down album's got a bunch of Toto playing, right? Like Lukather does the guitar solo and Running with the Night.
Running with the Night.
Yep. All the radio tracks, Penny Lover, Hello, like whatever. They're all great. Like you've all heard them a million times too. But so yeah, that's my honorable mention is a couple from Lionel after the Commodores, right? The first two.
Yeah, Lionel, he had a couple things on my short list as well, just because he was always there. Again, he's a fixture of the 80s, and there's no way you can ignore him.
Right. Well, that's it. That's my list, boys.
Well, with that, one more thing to add. We always talk about memories.
That's cool. Hair gel?
The first concert that I had ever gone to was with my mom, and it was the Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Gap, Roger Zapp, and Lakeside.
Damn, your mother knew how to grade, boy.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you?
It was, I think I was 9. That would have been 80, 81.
Wow.
And Lionel Richie had this crystal clear grand piano, and it was his, I think this would have been early 81 because he said something about this is his 1980 Christmas present to himself. And, I've always loved the Commodores. All of those bands. I love all of those bands. I'm a huge Gap band. Love the Gap band. But that you brought a cool memory to my head instantly as soon as you said Lionel Richie. And it's one of my favorite memories. It was a fantastic day.
Awesome. Awesome memory.
That's great.
Awesome concert for a 9-year-old. Jeez.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been pretty lucky. Pretty lucky. I saw Kiss and Makeup Dynasty right around the same time. I had, someone who stuck me out of the house. I'm not going to say who it was, John. So, I got to see Ozzy with Cliff Burton. Again, someone, snuck me out of the house, needed someone to drive, John. So I got to see some pretty cool concerts as a youngin'. So.
Yeah, that is cool. Really cool. All right, so I'm passing it off. I don't remember that it's my turn, so I certainly don't remember who I'm passing off to.
I think I am next.
Might as well keep that train going.
Okay, I promise I don't have the same artist in here 4 times or 3 times or 2 times or whatever. Okay, I promise.
We'll see.
My number 4, and Jimmy will know who I'm talking about right when I say this. My number 4 started out playing guitar and transcribing music for Frank Zappa at the age of 18.
I know where you're going.
And he was in band Alcatraz. And before he went solo, he was in Dave Lee Roth band as the next Eddie Van Halen. His last name is my son's middle name. So my son's name is Cody Vi Burkle.
Herbert?
Wow.
Yeah, my number 4 is Passion and Warfare by Steve Vai.
Wow.
Which is God, for the love of God. What a great pick.
Well, if you don't know who that is, that For the Love of God and Steve Vai is probably number 1 song that everyone probably has heard or not heard. But this song was instrumental, along with Joe Satriani's, his Not of This Earth and Flying a Blue Dream. Yep. Surfing and Flying a Blue Dream. But all three of those albums, but Steve Vai, he also had this, he had Flexible before this album. But this album was really big. It was right after he came out to David Lee Roth band, just before he hit and got hired to go join Whitesnake. This album I still play it to this day, along with some Joe Satriani stuff. But you got Love Secrets and Sisters, obviously For Love of God, which my wife knows gets played at my funeral. Actually, not funeral, but celebration of life, because
yeah. You got to have those songs, right? Like I mentioned in our Canadian episode.
I have mine.
Yeah, I think it's good to have those. And then if people don't follow your wishes, that's okay too. But no, that's kind of what I wanted. But
okay, just tells you how much I love my mother. My mother's celebration of life was Purple Rain by Prince and the Eagles. Okay, so I played the Eagles.
You played it,
for
yeah,
7 hours straight. That tells you how much I love my mother. But obviously, he had the really cool video of the audience is listening. A kid being Steve Vai playing guitar, and
this McLaughlin.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the album was instrumental, and no pun intended, and pun intended, in just forming my second life as a musician, and just trying to be not just a guitarist, but a composer. I mean, I don't like to label myself those things because it sounds way more important than I think what I do. But I mean, it changed how I approach music, as a guitarist. And there's no way this album wasn't making my top 4. It fluctuated. It was higher and lower. I'm like, oh. With my other 3, you'll see, I don't think there's a wrong place for this album, but this album was very instrumental in where I am, not only as a guitarist, but as a person and as a professional and amateur musician. So,
right. Awesome.
Well, I have 2 notes on that. If you're done with yours, I don't want to step on your toes.
No.
All right. So, Passion and Warfare. There was a litany, just a huge amount of guitar players putting out solo instrumental albums. Their sound qualities were, above average. You can tell they were probably done maybe on a 16-track recorder in their basement or at a smaller scale recording studio. But Passion and Warfare came out, and this was big, huge engineering, huge production values. Everything was layered and sounded in place. Versus some of these other, virtuoso guitar players, amazing albums. But the sound quality on that album was fucking amazing. You put the headphones on to this and you could hear every little detail, whereas some of the other players weren't doing it. So that's my first note. Number 2 is you talked about the audience is listening. Breakout song. The video is a young kid in maybe junior high playing a little classroom talent show and blows the doors off, and it's an actual shredder guitar player, Tommy McLaughlin. He was in a band called Bad for Good.
Yeah, with that kid from the red-haired kid from T2.
No. He was Willis's good friend in Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, yeah.
Wasn't he?
Was he?
I don't know. He was a famous singer or a famous little teen actor.
What?
Yeah, the little ginger. Yeah, little ginger.
Were you going to say the little ginger? Is that what you were referencing?
Oh my lord! And canceled.
I know.
Well, anyway, the drummer.
I have no idea who you're talking about, but that's fucking hilarious.
Google it, Joe, quick. But the drummer is Chad Wackerman's kid, Brooks Wackerman, and he's just fucking amazing drummer. It was kind of a Nepo kid band, except for the guitar player. So the album isn't that great, but it's really interesting to listen to some really young early teen high production values. Did you Google it, Joe?
I know. I totally did. Yeah.
What's his name?
It is Thomas McRocklin. Yep.
Right, but the singer,
he had a kid band right after that with the kid who was like the red-haired kid in T2. I'm trying to figure that out right now.
So it's
we'll
same
update you next.
It's not the same guy from Different Strokes. The guy from Different Strokes is Danny Cooksey.
Yes. That's called.
So I googled that guy. Joe got the other guy.
I googled the Arthur Carlson episode, and I had to shut my computer off.
Danny Cooksey is the singer for
People are now knocking at your door.
Right.
Sir, can you come to the door?
Danny Cooksey. Hold on. Danny Cooksey, Bad for Good.
Is that who you're talking about?
Maytag for God's sakes, I thought.
Anyway, carry on. I hijacked this with my idiocy. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's too funny.
But Danny Cooksey was
okay. Then we hijacked it with more idiocy, so it's fine.
Right, more Arthur Carlson
from there.
Stop saying Arthur Carlson.
God is my witness.
Still about again?
Maytags could fly.
All right, what do you got next, Joe?
My number 3 is an album I still listen to all the time, man. I literally just listened to a couple weeks ago. This album's like the production value of this album is very 80s rock. Even the drum triggers bug me, but there still sounds amazing in this album and how it's mixed together. But it's Robert Plant's Now and Then.
Wow.
It's
love that album.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I love Tie Dye in the Highway and stuff like that too, but this album, every song in this album means something to me. Again, every song, there's something about albums that we just miss nowadays, that the production value for every one of these songs, you could take these songs, put them out of order, play them on shuffle, and they all still fit together one another.
Cool one on that one.
Tall Cool One, yep. Yeah. It's Heaven Knows, Dance My
Knows, yeah.
Dance on My Own.
Ship of Fools.
Yep.
Fools is great.
I mean,
yeah, that is a great album, actually.
Great band behind him, and I know he's kind of, I think, in some ways, embarrassed of this album's production because he's never really, since the tour, really played these songs. When he's played them sparingly, ever the same way again. But this album is, to this day, when it got remastered, I was like, oh, there we go. Now we can hear that bass where it should be at.
Yeah, good pull. That wasn't on my radar.
Great album. And All Cool One might be one of the weakest songs on the album. I mean, I hate to say it. It's a good song, but it was, I mean, I like the fact it was early part with its sampling with Zeppelin.
Yeah,
and
it's got the Ocean sample, the Zeppelin sample,
guitars and stuff like that. But it's still, it's such a great, I mean, Walking Towards Paradise, White, Clean and Neat. It's just everything on that album. I love every song on this album. Now and Then,
good one.
Love it.
I wasn't even thinking
Robbie Blunt's guitar tone on this is so fucking beautiful.
Yes.
So clean, so pure. Ship of Fools, that arpeggiation he does, that doom. It's a beautiful album. It's a masterpiece. I love it.
You were seeing a last episode or episode before that, Dink, how like now you really don't listen to albums, you listen to songs, and every now and then you might shoehorn an album here and there. This is an album, once I listen to one song, I have to listen to the entire album. I do. It's just
there is those, right? Like
I have to. The entire album is like one giant song to me.
It's hard to pluck one, right? You gotta like dedicate the time. I'm listening to this whole thing, right?
Yep.
Like,
and again, it's Plant's voice. He's in his prime. He sounds amazing.
All that is probably true, but it got killed for me on rock radio around here, and
it did get a lot of like the hits, a lot of play, right?
Yeah, Talk to one guy.
I didn't even think of it.
Even though we're smothered in Canadian content, radio disc jockeys clearly loved Plant, right?
Smothered in underwear.
What's in your mouth? What? Yeah.
One more note on Now and Zen is that was his first release on his own album, Esperanza Records. That was Robert Plant's record company, and that was his first release. He made it a priority to release that album first on his own label. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. So Esperanza Records, Robert Plant.
That's true, because it's a nice start to a record label. It really is. I mean, the album is huge.
Yeah.
My number 2, we won't spend too much time on this one because it was kind of aforementioned before. Peter Gabriel's So. This album means so much to me. This album, again, just like Now and Zen, you could put the album on shuffle and every song fixed together. Again, like I said, he spent over 5 years putting this album together. I mentioned on an older podcast, I think we were talking about before, one of the earlier ones, I know it might have been 1971 or something like that. But and on So's 25th anniversary, he released So DNA. And this is the original mixes of all the songs of the songs from So, which would be like, okay, that's great. Every song sounds completely different than what he released. Again, this was songs were almost about a year before he released the album. These were the mixes. He said, I'm done. And then he kind of went back, got different studio musicians, and brought a completely different feel of the album. So if you're a fan of the album, So, I don't think it's on streaming. I bought it on iTunes back in the day. Try to hunt out So DNA. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's so welcome because every song is very familiar, but completely different.
Completely different. Yeah. It's interesting.
You don't get that option very often, because most artists are very close to the chest about how they go through the process of creating their art. But and then Peter Gabriel was like, here it goes, here's it was, but a year when it was originally done, but not done.
That's funny you say that, because I always wondered if bands are cool with it, or if it's the label releasing demos, or the band is like, that's not I don't want that out there. That's not
depends. It depends. I think personally, it depends upon their own security. Some artists
really a fan can say, okay, this, and maybe not in this case with Peter Gabriel's, but a regular demo. Okay, that's cool. I can see where this song went. This is kind of where you had it, and the finished copy, right? Or the finished version, the polished version, the real version.
Yeah. And some artists,
that has crossed my mind anyway.
Some artists never want you to hear that, and some artists like some artists like Prince have notoriously barely made demos.
Some demos are not good.
No,
I'm like, wow, they did some good work, because that song's good. That's not very good.
Yeah, exactly. And then Peter Gabriel was like, here's the versions I had a year before I intended to release the album, and they're completely different.
Yeah.
Well, I think why some bands don't release the demos is the sound quality is inferior on most demos, because it's all just recorded quickly, put the song together so you get the concept of the song. So a lot of times when we hear the demo version, it's really raw and it's not balanced. The vocals are really hot, the bass is really low.
A bass line and a drum track.
Right.
Drum.
Right.
I mean, we talked about it last episode with the Police, with Wrapped Around Your Finger. It's a completely different song than the demo was. So.
Mm-hmm. Right. A lot of demos just sound like Metallica said Anger, just horrible.
Agreed.
The album was a perpetual demo.
Right. Professional tin can.
My number 1 might be a little controversial.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because admittedly, this artist was a solo artist, and then he decided to create a band, and then he had a last show in 1986 in Japan. And there's notoriously, if you can find the video on YouTube or a couple other sources, he broke 3 guitars on purpose, which he never did before. And the rhythm guitarist of the band looked at the keyboardist and she went, "This is our last show." I'm talking about Prince and Sign of the Times, because I struggle with this because I'm like, this is kind of cheating. But the Revolution, specifically Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman, did such a contribution to change his sound for those, believe it or not, 3 years. Everyone thinks, oh, Prince and Revolution, yeah, they were together for 3 years, and 3 albums. Sign of the Times is made up of a mix of songs. It's a 4 LP album. It's a double album back in the day. That was originally 6 albums, if you believe, but Warner Brothers heard it and said, you know what? You need to pare this down. We can't do 6 LPs. And finally he pared it down. The album is made up of some songs that were developed with the Revolution and some songs that weren't and brand new to the album. And the irony being, the very last song on the album is a live track that was recorded with the Revolution. And again, I only put this in there because not only am I a Prince fan, but he was a solo artist. The Revolution made such a big contribution, and specifically Wendy and Lisa, because they brought these classical influences that he'd never heard. But before Lisa Coleman joined the band, he'd never heard the Beatles. I mean, it's hard to believe, but I mean, wow, he's entrenched in his own.
Fucking wow.
So when you hear like his album with the Revolution is the second one after Purple Rain, Around the World in a Day, with Pop Life and Raspberry Beret. Yeah, it's very psychedelic, but it's because he finally he heard the Beatles, and he was kind of.
How can you just heard them then, right? Like, talk about being in a silo.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, again, you're talking about at the time when black music and white music were 2 different things. I mean, you would think,
I guess, wow,
yeah, but still,
right. Back even then, when Prince was big in Minneapolis, it was known as a quote unquote a vanilla city, which means white rules, and that it's very black music was on one station, KMOJ. Jimmy knows that station. It was one station that played black music. It was things were very segregated back in it's hard to believe, even us being the age we are, is like, really? Well, the first artists really that were black on MTV were Prince and Michael Jackson. Before then, there's a famous interview on YouTube, and you watch David Bowie being interviewed. He's being interviewed by MTV, and he's like, so what do you think about the music on MTV? And David Bowie's like, what are you doing for the black music? You're doing a lot of things for white music. What are you doing for black music? All I see is Michael Jackson.
Right.
So wow. I struggle with this, but at the same time, if you listen to Sign of the Times critically and even emotionally, it's every Prince fan's favorite album. It's not Purple Rain. It's generally this album. Yeah. It's because this album spans social commentary, which Prince kind of spared himself a little bit. And again, he had to learn how to be a solo artist again after Wendy and Lisa being fired. Notoriously, when he fired Revolution, he asked Brown Mark to stay in the band. He asked Dr. Fink, one of the keyboardists, to stay on. Brown Mark turned him down. David and Dr. Fink stayed on through 1999 or 1989. The other ones were fired, which was Bobby Z, the drummer, and Wendy and Lisa were fired. And partly I think those 2, Wendy and Lisa, were fired because he needed to find his own voice again. So that's why I had to stick with this album. And this album is notoriously has Sign of the Times on it. It has You Got the Look. It has If I Could Be Your Girlfriend. I mean, the album is just filled with bangers. Again,
the album's great.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Prince was never known for great production. This album is not greatly produced. It was, in fact, if you know the song, The Ballad of Dorothy Parker, it has a very unique drum sound to it. It's because Susan Rogers, the engineer at the time, didn't know how to tell him that the mixing board wasn't properly set up, and so the drums had a weird sound to them. And he didn't care. He liked it, and done. Song done. So my number 1 is Prince, Sign of the Times. Hate me if you will.
All I was going to say was, I can't believe you said that with a straight face after giving Jimmy shit for the Bonham thing and the other.
I was going to say the same thing, Jimmy. You got to get some recourse here. Like,
I've been waiting for you to stop talking so I could say that. Actually,
that's awesome. Because I wanted to say it too, but I was like, "Am I going to bother?" People have got to go back to our other episode to know what the hell we're talking about. But
right, yeah,
matter. We know.
All I can say is go back to last week when Joe kicked himself out of the group, and we said, "Fuck him, let's stay going."
Cancel.
Karma, bitch.
Oh yeah, I deserve that. I know. I just totally deserve it.
I don't really care. I just thought it was hilarious. I think you're both whatever, but I don't. I think it's hilarious.
I even brought it to my wife, and she's like, "Really? I don't." She is like, "Well." I'm like, I think I'm gonna put him. She's like, well, he did have the revolution, so I'm sure she kind of reaffirmed my belief.
She's super supportive, though, too, right?
She's very supportive.
Yeah, well, Dick skirts the rules all the time.
She's the best wife ever. Real quick, I know.
You're right. That album is so good. Like the cross is on that too, right? Like,
yes, the cross is on there. Yeah, it's such a great album. If I Could Be Your Girlfriend.
Yeah, it's
such a great fucking album. I mean, again,
that's my wife's favorite Prince album too.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there, and I kind of had this Easter egg right there. That's right there. There we go. My honorable mention. This album kept on hitting the top 4. I'm like, it is, but these 4 albums we've talked about a couple times before. It's David Lee Roth, Eat 'Em and Smile.
Give me a bottle of anything and a glazed donut. To go.
Wow.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be on your list. Yeah.
This album, I listened to today. I mean, this album I've never gotten sick of. It's just quintessential in a time to me when I discovered the instrument guitar, and it's just an amazing album across the board. You couldn't ask for 3 better musicians that David Lee Roth to hire to be in his band. It was perfect time, perfect place type of thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
Bravo.
That's all I got.
And I'm surprised though, no Sting.
No Sting. Sting was on my short list, but again, you can only have 4. You can only have 4,
right?
4. I mean, this is the top 6 easily, but that's
right.
4. Yeah. So I know.
It happens.
It's gonna happen, right?
Well, somebody commented on our very first, our inaugural episode of Van Halen about why do you do top 4? Because it fucking makes it harder. This is why we do top 4.
I mean, here's my top 6, 7, 10.
Right. Yeah, and I think we've discussed we wanted to differentiate. There's 4 of us. It makes it harder. We could have done top 5, top 10. The shows would be 4 hours long, and whoever the hell wants to sit through that, right? We're trying to make it a little bit unique and put ourselves, put the fire under ourselves. We still can't get it to 4 half the time. So
no,
it's hard. And like I said, when I chose him, I'm like, yes, I realized he was a solo artist, and yes, technically with the Revolution, he was the main guy. But I'm like, I had to go that way because Running and Lisa changed his sound so much. And those 2 were so influential on his writing style that after that, when he fired them, he had to find a need to find how to be himself again. This album was so big, and still to this day is kind of pretty amazing when you have to try to find yourself, if you will, musically.
Right.
When you're dependent upon 2 people, even though he wasn't, because the guy all the time. That's my list, though. So, Chris, what do you got?
Looks like brother.
All right, so I kind of messed up my list or whatever, but some of my list is not necessarily records, but just the artist in general. I couldn't just land on an,
which is fine.
That's good.
My number 4 is Stevie Nicks, partially because I had a crush on her, but yes, that's true. But also I really love Stand Back, Stop Dragging My Heart, Edge of 17. They're all big songs for me. Different albums, whatever. But it also, I discovered her and then went back and found Fleetwood Mac. So that's kind of like why I picked her. It kind of segued me into bigger stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people our age, right? And again, this seems to be another theme. It was watching. I think it was "Stand Back" was the video. I think was the first video I remember seeing on Much Music, and it made me search out more of her music. But so yes, yeah. So.
Not to kick a dead horse here, but you know who has writing credit for "Stand Back," right?
I don't.
It's Prince.
Is it?
He wrote the song using the basic chord structure of Little Red Corvette. And she goes, well, I got to give this song to Prince now. So she
that, you know what? Now that you say that, I remember hearing that story before.
Prince
and I can't believe I didn't see it when I researched
guitar on that song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Do you know that album that you're referring to, Stand Back, has I believe it's Stand Back. Took her a long time to record. Wasn't done really quick. It was done in several sessions. There's a hair tie. There's a tie to hair metal.
Hair tie.
With the recording sessions of that album. Do you know that that tie?
I don't.
Poison's Look What the Cat Dragged In was recorded for $23,000 after hours in Stevie Nicks' recording studio during her time because she was having some dependency issues and not making her recording session. Well, she was probably nowhere near the recording studio. Pretty coked up, I would imagine.
The last thing
probably with a mirror in a bathroom, maybe.
Yeah. So the engineer and the studio manager said, all right, Poison, we'll cut you a really good deal. You have to come in, but if she shows up, you have to leave. So they recorded Look What the Cat Dragged In on Stevie Nicks' recording sessions.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is cool.
Story. She was double dipping.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
The one thing I didn't say about Stevie Nicks is I love her voice. It's just something
very
different.
Unique. Very unique.
Right? Like
haunting. It's haunting.
Gives me chills, right?
Yeah.
Some of her songs give me chills. Absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of kicking a dead horse, but Leather and Lace is number 8 on Dink's top 20 of all time. So.
Nice.
You know, over the next few shows, we're gonna be able to piece together your top 20.
We are. We've hit a bunch.
We haven't done number 19 yet.
Stand by.
We haven't done number 19 yet. But when we do Yacht Rock, we will hit number 14.
Just for crowds.
It's all right. We're on the edge of 17.
That's right. We're bootylicious.
All right. So my number 3 is really out of my wheelhouse, and it actually was introduced to me by Dink and Ian when we would come down to your place and hang out.
Oh, nice.
You guys played this for me, but it's Dr. Dre, 2001 Chronic.
Awesome.
It got me to listen to NWA. It got me to listen to Snoop Dogg. It got me to listen to Exhibit. It got me to listen to all kinds of stuff that I would not listen to. And I just remembered being like, you guys would play it. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And we'd just be playing darts or something. And like, it'd be in the background. Like, and then every time I'd come visit, one of his songs would be in the background from this album, right? Like, be it like the next episode or What's the Difference was like my favorite probably off of that. Love that song.
Yeah,
but completely out of my wheelhouse, like nothing I would ever listen to usually before. And I had not been listening to any of it. And then I just remember one weekend coming down and one of you saying, hey, play that Dr. Dre for Chris. And fucking like it's been in my head ever since. I fucking loved it ever since. So that's my huge like surprise one, I suppose. But
well, he's an interesting friend because he's the guy I bounced up and down on the chairs with on the couch. He is an old metalhead, but he loves he loves hip hop, loves rap. Like
he's a big Justin Timberlake fan, man. He's a big
he was the biggest Eminem fan like first. Have you heard Eminem? You gotta listen to Eminem. I'm like, and I did. I fell in love with him too, right? But
I remember going to watch, driving from Aurelia to go with him and Jen and see Snow in concert, which is a Canadian rapper. Like,
he had one hit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I like it, boom, boom, down.
But he's got some really good songs. Actually,
Okay,
he's
do
really
you have
good.
any more hits in Canada?
Live,
'Cause
he's
he had
really
one
good.
in the US. Do you have any more hits?
He had 3 or 4 other ones that
Okay.
weren't as big.
Lady in the Red Dress?
Lady in the
That
Red
was
Dress
a
is
really
awesome.
good song. If you get a chance,
Okay.
check that one out. That's my
Yeah.
favorite snow song.
12
anyways,
inches of
yeah.
snow.
Yep. 12 inches of snow, exactly.
12
You got like 3 inches of dink, but whatever.
I still think he's better than what was that? Vanilla Ice. He's better than fucking Vanilla Ice.
Bill, it's awful.
Oh,
Right.
Robert Van Winkle.
No
What's his
offense to
name?
Ice,
Something
but
Van Winkle.
I'm a snow
Robert
fan. I'm
Van
not an
Winkle,
Ice fan. Sorry, no offense to Ice, but all right.
Hey,
So
Maria.
my number two is Ozzy, and I really don't have an album, but if I had to pick it, it'd be Bark at the Moon because that was the first song that got me into Ozzy. Again, Much Music, Power Hour.
Yes.
I remember seeing the video for Bark at the Moon, right? Like, nice shirt, Jimmy. Nice shirt.
For you.
Jakey Lee.
But I was a big fan of No More Tears when it came out, that album. And
great
song
album, yeah.
for that.
Oh, yeah, because that was our last year of high school, right, Chris?
Right, right. But I had to say Bark at the Moon because that's the one that really got me into Ozzy and really Black Sabbath. Because again, I discovered Ozzy and then went back and discovered Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's all I got about that.
I'm a big Ozzy fan. I like Ozzy to a point. There got to be a monotony to his sound and his music. I would say, geez, I don't know.
Well, I agree with some of that, but what we were talking about, like Dink talked about, we've talked about before, his memories. I remember driving around my 89 Dodge Dakota Sport pickup truck listening to No More Tears. You know what I mean? I have memory. I can can visualize myself in the cab of that truck driving, listening to that album. So it was just such a big thing for me at that time in my life. And I get what you're saying because when I listen to it now, I'm like, yeah.
Well, I can tell you the monotony. The monotony came from the fact that Bob Daisley wrote everything and didn't get credit for years until like 5 years ago when he finally was forced to be paid out by Sharon Osbourne because she's the world's worst woman probably ever to exist.
Person. Just a bad person, regardless
She's an
of gender.
awful person. Bob Daisley not only wrote most of the music for all of Ozzy's albums, but also
all of the lyrics
too.
All the lyrics.
And never got credit. And the dude did he have cancer? Because he had fucking cancer. And he's like, just give me credit. I don't want money. I want the credit the fuck I deserve. And she's like, fuck you. And he finally had to sue her. And then she finally had to give him money and credit because she's the piece of shit that she is. But yeah, Bob Daisley is Ozzy Osbourne owes everything to Bob Daisley.
Every single penny.
Everything to Bob Daisley. As great Randy Rhoads was to Ozzy's independent career from Black Sabbath when he first started out, Bob Daisley wrote everything. It doesn't do anything without the shit he wrote.
Yep.
Well, and on the Randy Rhoads front, I think Tribute was the first album, the live album was the first Ozzy album I ever bought.
That's a great album. That's a great album,
right?
Man.
It's a fantastic album. But mainly because of Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, again, Randy Rhoads. Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Right. But I had to put Ozzy in there because he led me to Black Sabbath. And I have so many memories around, well, even Shot in the Dark. I wrote that down because I remember that being on the radio a lot around there. And
I love that song.
Anyways.
Oh, I love that album, right? The Ultimate Sin album is so good. But you're right, Chris. Like, as soon as you said it, I pictured it. It's Bark at the Moon is the Ozzy video that I think of if you said Ozzy videos. Bark at the Moon.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah. Because that was that time of videos were so huge, and it was probably on every Power Hour because that was you know what I mean? Like,
and I honestly hadn't been into metal until Power Hour started. Again, Much Music was such a huge influence in my life. As much as I really don't dig music videos nowadays, like
you realize looking back, like holy shit, I discovered so much off of
100%. Yeah, because
time too, though.
And another thing, it was harder for where I lived. It was hard to get radio stations.
Right,
93.7 JFM was like easy listening was the closest thing I could get. Maybe CBC Talk Radio, who would once in a while.
So anything relatively new, you were like, oh, what is this?
And much music you had to pay for. So we would die for those free weekends.
Right.
The free preview weekends. And like, that's where you would really discover the music, right?
Yep.
So anyways, that's why I had Ozzy.
I know what you're
there.
talking about.
And I think, especially back, like you said, because I didn't grow up in the same place you did, but I still grew up in a place where I got either terrestrial radio or just over-the-air TV. I didn't get cable. We didn't have cable. You wouldn't have an option of cable or satellite where I lived. I mean, at the time, satellite.
You didn't get pay TV. Yeah, you didn't get the movie channels. You didn't get HBO.
Nothing. So it's
Scrambled porn.
We got like 10. If we were lucky, we got
Scrambled
10 or
porn,
13.
right?
I didn't even get scrambled porn.
That was a nipple.
Oh yeah, it was until later in the 80s that you got the scrambled porn. It was that was well out.
That was a nipple. That was a nipple.
Music was a discovery. Now, like we mentioned, I think a couple episodes ago, and now it's like water. It's everywhere. I think that's why it has no commodity anymore. That's where movies are kind of going now. Like everyone's complaining, no one's going to movie theaters. Like, well, movies are just kind of, they're like a dime a dozen now. You can get them everywhere from every single streaming service. It's no longer an event. Where before, finding music before, 30 years ago, 20 years ago was a big deal. I can't say 20 years ago. That was fucking 2005.
Right.
30 years ago.
Right.
25 years ago, it was a process. It was a hunt. It was a word of mouth. It's like, hey, did you hear this? No, let me borrow this album. Let me borrow that CD.
Well,
Tape
Jimmy,
exchanges.
Jimmy, you're a vinyl collector. You post your selections on or your newest ones on Facebook, or you share them with us or whatever. That must be nostalgic, going into record shops and just the old feeling of leafing through and what do I want to, right? And now you're a grown man with money. Before you were like, probably had to choose one or maybe two based on your budget, right? Like,
it's still the same way because albums
you'll blow your load on the.
Yeah,
but we'd go to I'd go to Standard Record Man or HMV or whatever on Yonge Street, and I'd drive my friends crazy.
Spend all day there.
I would spend hours because I could only buy one or two. I couldn't afford to buy everything I wanted because I wanted everything.
Yeah. And you went for one or two, and you ended up coming out with maybe one of those and something different. Well, fuck, I didn't even get the one I wanted because I got this.
Yeah.
And speaking of the collecting, I was just at one this morning with my wife, and it was a new store to us. We hadn't been there before, and they mostly had new albums and a small section of used albums. And I was like, fuck, oh my God, oh no. I ended up walking out of there with nothing for myself.
Nothing. Holy shit.
Nothing. Because I was overwhelmed. Because I always have a list of 10 albums that I want above anything else. Unless I see something I haven't seen before that I've always wanted or I had that I loved. And there must have been 20 albums that are on that short list of my 10, if that makes sense. I can't fucking pick. I just can't fucking pick. I'm going to go home.
Right.
I'm going to go drink beer with my wife, and I'm going to be sad that I didn't.
Right. Listen to something I already have because fuck it. Right. No, I get it.
So it can be a little overwhelming. It's frustrating. I mean, unless you're okay with going to Amazon and just getting something, but the joy is the hunt with
the hunt. Yeah. Like whenever Jimmy comes down, last couple times he's coming to town, we go to Mill City. It's a music store here in Hopkins, Minnesota. And they have everything. It's absolutely huge, but they have like the common stuff, obviously, and they have the really rare stuff and the hard to find stuff. And I like last time we went there, we both left out of there with like armfuls of shit. And I'm like, I think I'm pretty good. And I'm like, oh my God, hopefully the wife doesn't get mad.
Right.
And Jenny's gonna listen to this, and I'm gonna be like, Joe, don't tell her how much I spent.
Cancel. We got one album.
That didn't happen, Jenny. That never happened.
That never happened. We'll never go Eddie in the backseat of the car at all.
And we certainly won't go when he comes here again.
Right. I'm gonna have to find out if you guys come here.
We'll have to hit up the fetus.
Yep.
Oh heck yeah!
So I still have one left.
Oh, sorry, man.
Number one.
Yeah.
Just let me go.
We got sidetracked.
On our tangents again.
It's not a big. It's not like I don't think
Fucking
you'll be
Ozzy.
shocked, but it's Phil. It's Phil Collins. I guess you could say no jacket required because again, I for some
I could
reason
say
I
that.
think
It was my
I think
next
my
one.
sister.
There
I
you
think
go.
my sister had that, and then that's what got me to. And I remember a guy in school. I think his name was Jamie. Jamie Hunt was his name. Could be wrong.
Oh,
but
him.
Mike?
he said. I remember talking about Genesis one time at school. And he goes like, "You like that?" Or sorry, talking about Phil Collins. He's like, "You got to check out Genesis." Right. So that got me into Genesis, but like. Again, I don't know. There's so many songs from Phil Collins that I love, like even like Easy Lover.
Well, yeah, and you're right. Like No Jacket Required's a great pick, but there's 3 you could pick easily. You know what I mean?
In the Air Tonight is probably one of my favorite songs of all time, but probably I really love the non-point version. Don't like I love Phil's version.
Non-point cover is cool.
They do a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good version. That's probably my favorite version of that song.
Yeah,
but...
Face Value and But Seriously are both great albums too, right? Like
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The great thing is
going back to the non-point.
He remastered all those albums, right? And so instead of just using the same album covers like everyone else does, he used the same exact album cover, shot the way it was the original was, but only in his current face. So it was like him only old, as old
with wrinkles and whatnot.
Yeah, wrinkles.
It's pretty cool.
Really cool.
It's like in Genesis, really, you could pick anybody that came out of Genesis to be like a solo artist that made it on their own. Like, I love Genesis.
Like Mike and the Mechanics.
I love the thing. Like, I love the Police too, but I didn't really like Sting as much in his solo as much as I liked Phil when he went solo. Right? Sorry.
I'm in the same camp with Chris too. We're Canadians versus Americans there because I'm with Chris.
Yeah, you Canadians do not like Sting. It's weird.
Well, I don't dislike him.
It's not that I don't like him. I
don't
like him. Yeah. I think he's, and also like I like when I see him do stuff like on SNL or in interviews and stuff. He seems like a really good guy, a fun guy, likes to have fun. He's intelligent. I just like the Police stuff more.
Me too. I find his
stuff.
solo stuff.
I bought Police stuff. I didn't buy.
Yes, I will say that. I think there's, again, not going on a tangent, but I think that's because he had those other two individuals that made such an impact on, even though he wrote the music, they still put their own style to it.
He wrote the music. He played the bass. The bass stood out to me. It made me experience the bass like I never had before, but the drumming was amazing.
Oh my God.
The collaboration was amazing.
That was a fun episode. Go back and watch it, folks. Please.
Watch it, listen to it.
Yes, go back and watch The Police. It's very informative.
And caress it.
Jimmy, were you going to say one more thing on non-point?
Oh yeah, I already lost it, but no, I love non-point. I love they were a Florida band for years, and then they've actually migrated up here to Illinois. And two of their newest members now in the band 10 years. We're good friends with my buddy who passed away in 2004. So, I mean, I have some close ties to Non-Point. I adore them.
I really like that.
Fantastic.
And that version is
Fantastic.
I rarely like the cover version more, and I love both versions, but I listen to that Non-Point version more than I listen to Phil's version. And I think I played it for you, Dink, one time.
You played it for me, yeah. Yeah. You introduced me to it, and I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
The one thing I always found with Phil was that, even though he was a drummer and he was a phenomenal drummer, he really is, that he could take a drum machine like he does with In the Air Tonight and a few other songs and make very unique, very distinctive drum patterns that you would go, oh, that's that song,
Right.
Well, just so you know, the drums, the drum machine, that was just formed for a loop, and he played over it on the album.
Yep.
Oh, he didn't play the covers like all those videos you see where people play, like put their trip over a vacuum and to that drum beat, or they close all their cupboards. Right.
So my honorable mention would be I mentioned him before when we were talking about Ian, was Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
wow!
Again, out of my wheelhouse, but there's so many of his singles that I fucking listen to. that I like. I don't know. He's him. I was gonna say Peter Gabriel too, because like we said, like
Oh no,
like,
JT's
Eric
got some
Clapton
songs I
even
love.
could be another honorable mention, but I listened to more JT songs, and he was on my short list, which is surprising because I didn't think it was going to be that way when I started this.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I have some JT notes, but I'm going to save them for another show that's most likely coming up at some point.
What?
Cool. Boy band.
Anyways, that's my list. And I
right.
like Dink forgot. Who are we done? Who are we passing it to?
Jimmy?
Are we done?
Jimmy. Are we done, or is Jimmy still got to go? I can't remember.
I don't need to talk. I don't need to talk. I'm just going to unplug and leave. So, all right.
Wings lost.
Not like the other time when I took all of your notes.
It's all right. I've stepped on a few toes. So, all right. So in pre-production, we talked about some stuff. No one said any picks, but I got a hint and an inkling, and I rearranged everything real quick. I don't know if you noticed. You guys were all talking, and I'm here working away. So I moved some shit around, and my new list that you didn't know the old list to. So my number 4, my number 4 is Sting, 10 Summoner's Tales.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love this fucking album so much.
Yeah.
So
That was right
goddamn. It was on the list the whole time. I just moved its placement.
Okay.
This album, it's fucking beautiful. Shape of My Heart is my favorite song on this album. It's been sampled by so many different people. Probably the biggest version was Juice WRLD. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yep.
And I don't know. It's fucking great. It's so cool. It's fluid. It seems it's not a concept album, but it feels like a concept album. Yeah. You listen from beginning to end, and there's definitely a story, maybe not all the same story, just different chapters of different stories that kind of make sense fluidly and musically. And I love this album so much.
Yeah, great pick. I mean, that album was on there. I mean, his first 3 albums were on my list. I'm like, I just don't know. So it was brutal. This is why we have 4 and not 8 or 7, because he would have had next to 3 on my list probably. So,
and let's be real though, we're music lovers, so we'd do 8, and then we'd be like struggling to. The 9 and 10 should be 8 and 7. You know what I mean? So it's all around.
Well, ask me in 6 months, it might be completely different.
Chris is just changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great album.
So, I mean,
I get what you're saying. When it sounds like a concept album, but it's not. But again, that's another album where you can just put on shuffle, and every song would sound just as natural right after the next song. You know?
Yeah. It's Probably Me is another really cool artsy song. I don't know, If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, or If I Ever Lose My Faith, Fields of Gold. It's fucking great. What's really cool, this album came out in 93. It went 3 times platinum, so that's 3 million album sales. Canada, it went platinum, 100,000. I don't know, it's just fucking beautiful. I probably have more notes than I need to say about it. It's a great album.
You know, I think my favorite song off that album is "The Shape of My Heart." Just the lyrics on that song. Favorite. For me, it's not only the composition of the song, but it's also the lyrics. I mean, just how he takes the deck of cards and makes it into a metaphor for everything he feels for what is war politics is amazing.
Yeah, and the nylon string guitar has that unique tone.
Yep. Dominic
I
Miller.
Guess I'll move on to
Dominic Miller is another amazing guitarist he's had since he went his second album, right? Second album, I think he joined Sting's band. Again, another phenomenal. He started as a studio musician and has now been with Sting exclusively since he's recorded with him. And Dominic Miller is an amazing guitarist, dude. Again, very versatile. You can play any style you want to.
No, good pick. I will say good pick for you.
Damn it.
Which is what my sister-in-law says to my wife when Katie asks her sister, "What do you think of this shirt? That looks good on. That's good for you." Which is basically
you
saying,
wear it well.
you're not a fan of it. I totally respect you. Like, I love your guys' music taste. I love what we do, but I'm totally in Chris's camp. When you guys name those songs, and I don't want to shit on your pick, those songs are the songs that make me not like Artsy Sting. Like, it feels the gold and if I ever lose my faith, those overkilled songs by Sting, the ones we heard on the radio, and maybe I should give it another try, because I'm thinking, fuck, when you're naming them, I'm like, those are the songs that make me not like him.
Just listen to this, okay? Just the
It's
chorus,
right.
Shaping My Heart.
Sorry.
No, seriously, listen.
It's just a feeling. I don't know what it is, and I like it. Like Chris said, love the Police. I don't know.
Just the words of this one song is Shaping My Heart. I know the spades are the swords of a soldier. I know the clubs are weapons of war. I know the diamonds are the means, the money for this art. But that's not the shape of my heart. I mean,
those are wicked lyrics. Like,
that's great, but the music itself doesn't reach
lyrics
me.
are great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
For
you guys, I'm gonna give it another try, because
I would venture guess if you guys listen to non-hit Sting, you'd probably be a bigger fan.
I'm gonna try.
If that was the case, we'd be together tonight.
We would be
again, right?
The lyrics are fine, but it's not the lyrics. It's the sound. I don't know what else to say. It's the sound.
It's the noise.
There's not enough Copeland.
Sonically, it's not for you.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. There's not enough Copeland or something. Maybe.
I don't know. I will give it another shot, but I don't know.
And I feel bad saying that, because, like I said, he generally seems like
you know what you like.
You're right. You like what you like, but I totally like that you guys love it. In my mind, I'm thinking, fuck, really?
You can't not respect it.
But there's tons of shit I like where people are like, really? Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's
Roxette?
tons of stuff I like that people are like, what's wrong with you?
Roxette? You got a Roxette poster? You got an Asia poster? You got a Roxette poster?
I'm the one that's questioning that. I'm not a huge Roxette fan either.
Anyway, Jimmy, I don't mean to sidetrack or shit on your pick.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Awesome.
You know, Canadians, they're known as a polite society. You very politely said, fuck off, move on, Jimmy.
Yeah, I probably. Yeah.
I'll tell you to fuck off, but it's not mean. It's not in a bad way. We'll be friends afterwards. Go fuck yourself, but we're still friends.
He's told me to fuck off a few times already. The last few shows.
Fuck off, really.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. It's Sting again.
It takes a lot to piss off a Canadian.
Right.
All right.
It does.
So, number 3. That's where number 3.
Really, did one with you so far? Shit.
Fuck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'll go quick now. Number 3, Diana Ross. You know, just 26 albums as a solo artist.
You just reeled me right back in.
My favorite of Diana Ross's albums is Diana. There was kind of a disco feel, a movement backwards musically, and she was the queen of Motown. I mean, how the fuck can you not like Diana Ross? But the two big songs is I'm Coming Out and Upside Down. I mentioned them earlier because of their drummer, Tony Thompson. I fucking love Tony Thompson of the Power Station. If you go back to supergroups, you're going to hear a little bit about Tony Thompson. The cool thing about this album in particular is the backing band was basically Chic. Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. They wrote most of the music and the lyrics for this album. It's fucking great. This album went to number 2 on the U.S. Billboard Top 200, number 8 Canada. There was, during this time frame, as far as the Billboard charts, they were changing up the lingo of a lot of things at this time. Initially, I think it was 1958 is when it started. it started out as a rhythm and blues chart, and then it switched to soul chart, and then it switched to black top hits, and then it went to black hits, and then it switched back to R&B hits. Now it is called R&B and hip hop hits. So there's been a whole evolution of this chart. It's kind of sad because a lot of people didn't get put into this chart during this, reformation concept left and right. But she dominated all versions of this chart her whole career, and that is that's a feat that not many people can say. And she's just an amazing artist. She's got a very beautiful voice, very, very significant voice, very powerful. Diana Ross, hands down, number 3.
Yeah. Love her. I love those two big tracks. Sampled a lot. Like I'm Coming Out was sampled in Mo Money, Mo Problems by old Baby Oil.
Did he?
And MC Light sampled Upside Down, right? Like with Cold Rocket Party. You got I know some hip hop, so I don't know, man. You reeled me back in. I love Diana Ross. Black Hits has got a bad taste.
What do you want? At least give them
absolutely a bad taste.
Give them some credit. At least they didn't call it Those People's Songs.
Right? Like fuck. How long was that on a chart name before someone said, "Yeah, this stinks."
Jesus Christ.
And we got our white hits over here. Like
which version? Because I can break it down.
No, but
you're talking about black charts.
Yeah, black charts.
1980 is when that stopped. 1980.
That seems way too recent. That's way too recent.
This sounds so bad.
You talking about that back in time? I referenced it before in my picks. It was hard for black artists to get on white stations, even if you're Michael Jackson or Prince or
put them over there on the black charts. Like fuck.
You stay over in your black charts. We got our white charts over here.
What a stink.
How fucking horrible. How stupid. How misleading. How dumb. How juvenile.
Right. Yeah. Like why? Fucking, right? Like
Yeah. Very true.
But but again, away from that, she's awesome.
Yeah. Amazing voice. Amazing voice.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to move on because we're running long again. Number 2 is Robert Plant, Principles of the Moment. So he's on our list twice.
Wow.
2 different albums.
2 different albums. This album is the album that I can listen to on repeat over and over. Just keep flipping the album over and over and over. There's a really cool thing about this is Phil Collins, plays on 5 of 8 songs. Barrymore Barlow, I couldn't remember his name. Barrymore Barlow from Jethro Tull plays in the other 3 songs. The previous album to this, Phil Collins did the same thing, played 5 of 8 songs. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a bit of a Phil Collins fan. Yeah. And it's fucking great. The album peaked at number 8 on the U.S. Billboard charts of top 200. U.S. 1 million, so it got a platinum. In Canada, it got a gold at 50,000. The 3 big songs on this is Big Log, Other Arms, and In the Mood. In the Mood and Big Log were those KQRS songs, so it's a KQ song to me. That's where I heard it first, and it blew my mind. I'm just a huge Robert Plant fan and a big Phil Collins fan.
What year was that?
Sorry.
What year was that album?
1983.
Yeah, I think it was 83.
And what year was Now and Zen? 87?
88?
88?
Yep.
I had a single of Hurtenkind, and I think that was the next one after Now and Zen, but
nope, that's Now and Zen.
Oh, is it Hurtenkind?
That's not. Yeah.
Fuck, I gotta go.
The
back
album after
that. I'm gonna go back and listen to both of them.
Yeah. So, my number 1 is probably no surprise to you guys at all. one of the greatest albums in my mind. Just fucking phenomenal. Has one of my favorite songs on it. I'm sorry, Phil Collins, No Jacket Required. I'm sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, I forget there's an audio listener, which you should go back and listen to the audio as well, because there's some cool things that the audio version gets.
Yes.
One album of the year, got 3 Grammys. Peter Gabriel and Sting are singing backup vocals on Take Me Home. My favorite song. There's a bunch of different histories of this song. Phil Collins has, I don't know, maybe created this misleading stories. In one interview, he says it's about his yearning to be off of the road. One story, he says it's about a mental patient inspired by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Another story is that it's the insanity of the musicians around you and you want to get out of that. So there's a whole bunch of different stories, all from Phil Collins, all conflicting. So who knows what the real story of that one is?
In other words, he's just making up whatever they're interviewing him.
Absolutely. And if you listen to the lyrics,
it
really
right?
doesn't say. What's that?
Keep them guessing, right?
Well,
yeah.
The one thing I love about music lyrics is everyone thinks they're always super deep, and like you take Kurt Cobain.
Sometimes they're not, right?
He always said, like Dave Grohl said, Kurt Cobain would just rhyme shit, right? And Kurt Cobain's number one hero is John Lennon, right? And then watching like Get Back, and the Disney special with the Beatles, you just see them, you hear them talking about lyrics, and they're just trying to rhyme shit. The songs don't mean jack shit. They're just trying to make a good hook and try to make things rhyme. Most times, songs don't mean shit.
Right, and some artists write the music and then add the lyrics to it. Say like,
Metallica
will do that.
Who writes his lyrics?
Like blah 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 to write the music like Metallica does, and then James will put some stuff that rhymes together, and everyone thinks he's being all creative with "Chop Your Breakfast on a Mirror," and it probably just fit.
Well, it sounded cool,
right. Where other people write the lyrics like poetry and then try to put the music to the song.
Yeah, right? And stuff like that, I think, is more like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when you hear conflicting reports from the artist. I'm like, well, what is it? They're just not going to tell you because they don't fucking know themselves. It didn't mean shit. We just put it together and that's that. So we'll just let you do your own interpretation.
It sounded good and it rhymed. Who wants to hear that? No one wants to hear that. So I was like,
no one wants. Oh, really? Well, it meant this to me, and I thought it was so deep and it affected my life. Oh, yeah, no, it just kind of sounded good.
Right.
Well, you spoiled my life.
All right. All right. So my honorable mention is Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. Just
there you go.
That's a fucking great, beautiful album. There's nothing more to be said about that.
Yeah, our first Samesies.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks was when we were just doing, when I didn't break it down to albums and just doing artists. I still had Ozzy, I still had George Michael, but I had Steve Winwood as an entire collection, and I had Stevie, and I hate to say it since we bashed him, I had Eric Clapton as an honorable mention for his entire catalog.
Fuck you, Eric.
But fuck you, Eric.
No words of Donald Fagan. Fuck you, Eric.
But yeah, it's cool. We had some sames. We had some different stuff, but we had some samesies. So at least we were all kind of in the same train of thought. Like,
yeah.
Good stuff,
so
boys.
You know what? On that, I'm going to kind of shut it down here because we're going long. I want to thank you three guys for this. This is awesome. I want to thank the people that actually take the time out of their life to watch and or listen. Please click subscribe, click the bell to get notifications when we drop new stuff. Every Wednesday is when we do drop. I believe it's midnight. It pops up. Visit justrankpod.com. That is just a website that has just all the links to all our different socials. You can just go there, click on it, and bring you to all of them. So you can listen to all the different versions, all different ways. Speaking of that, when you watch us on YouTube, Joe has painstakingly put some really cool art and effects into the video. And if you go to any of our audio sources, you get to hear some of the music. So you get 2 different experiences. So check them both out, see which one you like the best, and continue to come back. Tell your friends. Pretty straightforward, guys. JustRank.com. Thank you. Enjoy both experiences. For me, Jimmy, Chris, Dink, and Joe, thanks for watching, listening to Just Rank Pod.
And go fuck yourself, too.
Oh yeah, go fuck yourself.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.